My name is Hector Osborne Rodriguez. First, I'm gonna start with a visual description of myself. No hair, I'm wearing a beard, and I'm wearing today the Axe.com shirt, purple color. And this is my space where I work. Behind me, there's a bookshelf, and on my right, there's looks like a cassette display, but it's actually playing cards because I collect playing cards. And the reason that I bring that up is because I buy a lot of them and I go through a lot of e-commerce websites to buy them. And I have learned a lot of experiences going through those websites, what is good and what is not bad. And that is the intention of this session today. With that said, let me try to fix this 1 second. Cool. Yeah. So my name is Hector Osborne Rodriguez on screen. I am a front-end developer manager in Accenture. You most likely can find me in LinkedIn, where I'm most active in social media. It will be my entire name, Hector Osborne Rodriguez. In Twitter, I had to shorten it because my name is too long. So it's HEC Osborne ROD. Shorten is in the live. We might put it in the chat. The slides are also available. I'm going to put this here for someone that is, seeing this recorded today or in the future. The slides are available at bit.ly /A11Y-ecommerce. So, e-commerce. The last 2 years, like I'm assuming, and I make a big assumption that everyone has used an e-commerce website the last 2 years, either to purchase something from home, for the office, or food, or whatnot, right? So e-commerce, if it was big, the pandemic, the last 2 years has actually exponentiated the amount of usage that we have of e-commerce websites. So some of those experiences are actually by design not accessible, and it's unfortunate. So what I'm going to present today is suggestions, problems that we might have when we design, develop, or even think about what e-commerce is. Some of them I will present solutions. Some of them I might not, because I don't know them myself. When I go to an e-commerce website, I try to think of the achievement in 3 single steps, or like 3 easy steps. The first thing that I go in a new website or all website that I already visit is I want to search, right? Like I want to search for a product, then I want to add it to my cart, and then I want to check out, and then wait, right? But when it comes to the digital part, these are my 3 steps that I see an e-commerce platform working. So that's how I'm going to divide this presentation, 3 steps. Let's start with search, right? So what happens when we design and review a search? Typically, on screen, you will see that there is a design for a search box. It is an input box with a magnifier icon. That's the search, simple. Square, it has a word in it. It has an icon to search. We have used a lot of those. Google, like the big search engines, design this pattern. Now, there are many technical details that we need to consider when we design this kind of object. So as a front-end developer myself, when I look at this, I start considering what is hidden in this box from design, right? So what is going to be the interaction? What's going to happen here? Do I click in the search box and then something happens? What happens if I click in the search icon? What if I have a mouse or a pointer device and then I need to operate my keyboard? What is the focus that will happen when I tap with my keyboard? Should I go to the search? Should I then I tap and go to the search icon? What are the surprises that are going to be happening in this box? Even that word that is there, search, that it might not be visible in certain monitors because I made it intentionally gray, light gray, that word might not be even visible. So we need to design for it. The screen readers also need a suggestion of what this element is going to be doing. How is it going to be operating? All of that needs to be thought when we design the box. So It's not up to the developers to just code this. It's just a group, functional teams, developers, designers, QA tester, product owners. We need to get together to just design and ideate what is going to be the experience for this element. So I'm going to show the first quick example of what this element should interact with or how it should look. On screen, the same search box now have typed a word, shorts, because I'm searching. In that input area, there is now a new icon that is an X with a circle. And then a box appear underneath the search. It's a list of items or links, and it's reading shorts, men shorts, woman shorts, basketball shorts, and running shorts. So I type shorts and getting suggestions, right? So this is well known as the autocomplete. Now, there are things that happen visually immediately when I start typing. Typically happens after 2 or 3 letters when you start typing, right? So to design this component, we need to think now what is going to be the interaction. So I started typing, I stop. So now what's going to happen? What's going to happen with my mouse or pointer device? When I click in that X that is there, should that clear the form? Right? And when I mean clear the form, shorts that is in the input box gets removed, and then should the autocomplete disappear from the screen? Where should the focus of the keyword or the element go after I have a click in there? So those are considerations that need to be thought of. Again, going back to pointer devices, when I use my mouse to traverse to this list of items, what should happen? Should I have like a indication of a background color? Should they go like a thicker font to indicate that you're going to go somewhere? So that's for the pointer device users. For keyword operation, we have even more complications. It's like after I start typing or I finish typing, how do I enter in the autocomplete form? So do I enter in that form using my arrows, up and down arrows? Do I enter in that box using my tab? And when you tab, should it go first to the clear form and then to the search and then to the autocomplete? Or should it go straight to the autocomplete, top to bottom, and then go to the clear and then the search? All of those considerations are not annotated in the visual design that we have on the screen. So when we don't do those annotations and when we don't consider those experiences, we are swiping under the rug, I think is the phrase. We are letting someone else fix that issue for us. If you're that else and you don't know, then you have a big problem at your hands because it was not designed and you might not know how to solve this. So then if we as a community try to solve or document these decisions before it gets to the people that are going to be either developing or testing it or using it, following design patterns that are recommended for this kind of experiences, then it will be more clear for those that are trying to solve or develop or design these experiences. Screen readers. So going back to the visual impairment, you're using a device, you don't see what happened, you type shorts, and now you have 5 suggestions. If we don't announce to the screen reader that there is an autocomplete form and I have given you 5 options, they won't know. So they will keep typing and they don't know that there is an auto suggestion there. How do we announce to them that there are 5 suggestions? And do we need to announce to them how to use this form? Tab, use your arrows, like I mentioned before. Again, those decisions should be communicated, should be documented before we even start developing this component. Translation for those communication. In Canada, we use both English and French for all of our websites. Anything that is on the screen should be translated. Anything that is behind screens that is only sent to a screen reader needs to be translated, because a screen reader, they can know what the language is in the entire page, but that language or those words needs to come in the language that is expected. So If your page is in English and you have a French word, the screen reader might pronounce it wrong because you're gonna pronounce it as an English word, not a French word. So everything that is here should be translated to French. Everything that is not here, but is intended to be communicated to a screen reader, also need to be translated to that language. And lastly, for this same element, the new elements that appear on screen is the close or clear the form element. We don't know what that is unless it's mentioned, right? Like there's no label to let me know that that X circle with an X is a clear the form. Screen readers won't even know that because it's just an icon. So that will have to have a hidden message to let users know what that button or that interaction is going to be doing. And the same for the magnifier icon. What's going to happen when I click there? Is this a search button? Is this a search link? Like, we need to document them so that those interactions happen and everyone knows what they're going to be doing when you click or enter on them. So next step. So we have a search. I type a word. We have now terms, but I sometimes get creative and I want to do now an autocomplete that gives me more information to the user. So on screen, I have a search box, the same one as before, but now the autocomplete is enhanced. On the left-hand side of that auto suggestion, we have a list of the top results, which could be categories. So shorts, men's shorts, women's shorts, basketball, running shorts, etc. Then there is a list of categories. Again, shorts, women, clothing, women. On the right-hand side of that autocomplete is a box with 4 products that are now recommending to the specific suggestion that you're searching. It has an image represented with a square, gray rectangle, the name, and the price. So the first one is called Evolution Short, $200. Second one is $120.25. The third one has a sale price. $150 was before, and now it's $100. And then there is a word that says see more results. So this experience that is now in the screen is awesome for certain users that they want to have certain suggestions, because I'm not sure, I have never been in your website, so I don't know what I'm looking for. So I'm giving you ideas of what to buy, what to purchase. Cross-sell, upsell, we're pushing products to the user. We have to be cautious of, like, now the interaction here is even more complex than it was before. Right now we have a list. So how do we navigate through this list? What's going to happen when I use my pointer device around all this area? How do I navigate this entire area using my keyword? So before, we only have 5 search results or autocomplete links, I will say. Here we have, and I'm going to count them, but it will say we have maybe 20, 25 interactions. So when you tap into this list, to get in it might be easy. You tap and then you get in that form. To get out of it, if it is not programmed correctly, you might need to tap 25 times to get out of there, which makes it really taxing for certain users, right? Like, now, okay, cool. So now we need to know that you need to use certain functions to get out of this form because it's too complex. So you use typically the escape button to close it, or you go back to the clear form that is there in the screen. So from a search box that we started with just an input field with a word, now we're in a complex scenario where this typically becomes its own platform, its own product, its own roadmap, because there's a lot of things happening on the screen. So consider from the beginning of your project what's going to happen and what's going to be the impact of a component and what's going to be all the stages of it. So great. I search, I type shorts, click in my search icon, and now I see the search results page. Good. First step, approve. We're here. The search result page typically has like 4 main blocks. We have the header, where we will have logo, the navigation, the mini card, things like that. On the left-hand side, specifically for the search result page, we will have filters because now we have, I don't know, 200, 2,000 items that we need to filter somehow to get to where we want. The filter is typically a list of links or check marks or radio buttons or sliders, depending on what kind of thing we're filtering. But they're typically on this sidebar, on the left-hand side of the screen. In the right-hand side of the screen, you have the main area where all of your products are listed. So I'm representing that with 3 products here only. There is an image square, the name, and the add to cart. And then at the bottom of the screen, we have a footer. So search result page is a really important page in any e-commerce because everyone will go through them. There are similar experiences for listing pages or category landing pages. They are typically designed and interacted the same way. So when we see this on the screen, and we're gonna develop and we're gonna design for it, we need to consider what's gonna be, again, the interaction of this entire website. So for a keyboard user, what's gonna happen after they get out of the header, right? So you're visiting the header, you're tabbing. Where should you go next? So on screen, I'm representing what should happen. So we have the header, the filters, and the main. I remove the footer. And now the user, after tabbing out of the header, they need to go one by one to the filters. If there are 100 filters, they need to tab 100 times before going to the main products. So we're in the search result page. I was searching for shorts, and now I need to tab or interact with your page 100 times to just go to the first product of your list. What if mine is not in the first list? What if mine is the 14 in that list, right? What if it's not even there and now I need to click in view more? And then 14 more appear at the screen. Like all of those decisions make for certain users the interaction really taxing, really slow, right? Like we need to consider those scenarios because they're there for a reason. So I put there on the screen, navigating through filters requires multiple interactions. And what I mean by that is by keyboard interaction or a screen reader interaction. One way that I've seen implemented that fixes this is using a direct link between the header and the main portion. So when you get out of the header, you tab and you go first to the product instead of the filters. So visually, the filters are on the left, the products are on the right. By using your keyword, you're gonna traverse and skip the entire filter section. There is a WCAG success criteria that says that this is not correct because it's not following the order that we tend to read elements in the page. We read top to bottom, left to right. This is skipping the entire filter section. However, the intent is to help users get faster to the product list. So in this type of scenarios, after you browse to all the product lists, you will be sent to the filters. So is it a good solution? Is it a bad solution? I always say it's better to use data, right? Like, let's see what's the interaction with this page. How our users are using this page. We can put like how many times a person have to tab through this page to go to where they want to. Talk to people with disabilities. Hey, this is my website. What do you want to have best? Like, what is better experience for you? And it depends on the complexity of your website, the complexity of the filters that you have. As mentioned earlier, the filters sometimes are links that go directly to a category. So that can be considered simple, quote unquote, because you click on them and you go to a page. So sometimes they're check marks. Sometimes there are radio buttons. Sometimes there's sliders, so a price. I want to filter by the products that are between $5 and $20. So then you need to have a slider, and like those kind of interactions are all in the filters. Again, it becomes its own little product with its own little team that needs to define all of these experiences to make them better for the users. So consider your customers, consider how to do this. And there are other ways to solve the same scenario, which is by adding a skip to filters at the top of this filter area. So when you add a keyword user on screen, I have the same page before, 3 blocks, the header, the filters, and the main. The filters, now we have added a skip filters. So as soon as you tab, you enter in the filter section, the first things you hear is skip filters. When you click on that, now you're sent to the product area. So it allows you to go there with 3 interactions instead of like 104. Is it a better experience? It depends. We're just trying to help, right? Like, so this is one suggestion, I will say that. So adding skip filters can reduce, or potentially can reduce, the amount of interactions that we have in a site like this. The takeaway from all of the slides that I just presented is, for anyone that is either designing, developing, thinking about how to do this, keep it simple. Interactions should be simple. Our information should be simple, right? Like, I'm just searching for an item that I want to add to my cart. So let's try to make those interactions, those information overloadness, let's make them smaller, simpler. Okay, so I find what I need. Now I need to add to the cart. Okay, so add to the cart can be done in multiple areas, multiple pages. One of them can be the search result page, where we have all of the carts listed there, or we can do it in what we call the product detail page, or PDP, for those that work in the industry. You add to the cart, it's a button. On screen, what I have is the same visual representation as before, to keep with the theme of the left-hand side. There are filters. In the middle, a lot of products that are being listed. I'm gonna try to describe it better. So the filters on the left-hand side, we have an accordion looking element. So it's a big title with a chevron that is pointing down. Underneath it, there are certain filters. And then there is a see more. Then it repeats the block again, an accordion title, 3 or 4 options, see more. On the right-hand side, where we have all of the product cards, there is the category name, bestsellers. Next to it, but on the opposite side of the screen, we have a see all link. I put it in red underlined to represent that it's a link. Underneath there are 5 products that have images and add to cart. And then we have the second category, sci-fi, see all, 5 cards. Horror, see all, 5 cards. I took this example from my library, so it's kind of like, it's not an e-commerce, it wasn't add to cart, but I kind of like use these scenarios. So that's why those categories are there. Now, as I put there on the slide, there is repeated elements in this screen at a sign of warning. So what is a repeated element here? Add to cart is a button. We have 15 of them on the screen. When a screen reader, they have multiple ways to navigate a website. So when a screen reader reads this website, they can see, or they can say, list all of the links that are in this page. Right, so you can use VoiceOver or any other talkback or any screen reader that you prefer, and you can say, give me all of the links. If all of those links are called add to cart, you don't know what you will be adding to the cart. And that is what we call a hidden text. Right, so there has to be a way for us to attach the product that is being added to the action that is being done. So for visually impaired users that can see the website and they have pointer devices, they know where to go. They click in the add to cart and it will add the item that is there. For a screen reader users, they don't know, it's hidden. So we need to attach the product name to that button, to that add to cart action. Those requirements needs to be written there from the product team, right? Like we need to let them know when you do an add to cart in a page that have multiple repeated elements, you should have attachment between the action that you're doing, adding to the cart, and the product name. So when I'm using a screen reader, it will say add to cart shorts or add to cart red shorts. add to cart blue shorts so that I know exactly what I'm adding to the cart. The same happened here. The see all link. See all, read more, view more. Those type of words, click here. Those type of words are not really indicative of the action that they're going to be doing. Sometimes in screen, sometimes for a screen reader. So in this scenario, see all, we need to attach to the category that is going to be opening when you click in see all. So the first one should say see all bestseller. The second one should say see all sci-fi. The third one should say see all horror. There are techniques to do this on the HTML department. You can use area labels, area described by. You can do other like hidden text, things like that. But they are really helpful for screen readers that cannot see where this see all will link them to. On the filter section, I put an accordion specifically for a reason. Accordions are an element that you typically have a button that triggers an action, and then you display certain elements. That needs to be announced for the users of the website. When you're visually enabled, that could be hinted by the icon that is used next to the word. Sometimes it's a plus and a minus icon. Sometimes it is a chevron. So that gives you a hint that when you click in that element, it's gonna open something. It's gonna discover something. You open in a drawer and now you have options. For the screen readers, we need to let them know that something is gonna happen when you click here, and it's not gonna be a link. It's gonna be a expanded section. There are techniques to do that using area. But the reason I put this here is because we need to know when we decide this, that element should announce to the screen reader users that that area has been expanded, right? So that you know that the action is going to be now when you click here, now you have 10 options, 5 options. And I think that's it for this slide. So let's suppose now I'm gonna dive only on the main area, the main section of listing pages, search result pages. On screen, I have a blog of 6 products. There are in a matrix. Top to bottom, left to right, there are 3 of them in the first row, 3 of them in the second row. When you're a screen reader user or a keyword user, we need to identify how we are going to navigate through them. Typically, this is known as the set pattern. So you tap, go to the second one that is on the right, then you tap again, go to the right, and then you go to the next section, right? Like you traverse top to bottom, left to right. But this is the ideal world. When we have product cards, typically in a listing page, there are not just the image and add to cart. They will have the product name, ratings, like there are multiple information that we want to show. And let's dig into that and what's going to happen there. So, okay. Ooh, thank you. Okay, so product cards are really interesting when it comes to the website, because we are trying to show a lot of information in them. So we have the image, the color variant, which is like 5 or 6 buttons that we want to show. We want to show pink, blue, gray, red, etc. The product name, the category name, the ratings, the price, the call to action, right? So that's typically, or the call to action is, sorry, add to cart. So when we design this, we need to identify what's going to be the interaction for all of these elements. Which one of all of them is clickable? What happens when you hover with your mouse? What happens when you, when you use a pointer device? What happens when you use a screen reader? When you click in the color swatches, does the image change? Or do I go directly to the product page where the blue is, and now I'm going to go to the blue option? What's going to happen when I click on the ratings? And lastly, this is more important, is the amount of interactions that we set on this element will make it harder for Cinta users to traverse it. On screen, I have the same product card, and I show it on screen. If all of the elements are clickable, what should happen? So the first interaction is going to be you tap and you land in the image. Then you have to tap through all of the color choices. So second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seven, you still are in the colors. And then you go to the product name. And then you go to the brand name. And then you go to the ratings. And then you go to add to cart. So 11 taps on the keyboard before you can add to the cart. Remember, if I have a product list, this is just one of them. When we have 25 of them, if these are 10 interactions, we're asking people to do 250 interactions before they can add to the cart. And I'm going to leave it there. But think about that. Liz is going to add a link on the chat. Thank you, Liz. You're amazing. Where this problem is presented. It was presented 2 years ago in the Accessibility Toronto conference. And there's certain solutions for this scenario. Okay, yeah, and we need to consider all of the steps or actions that this element should have. So again, an image can be clickable. An image can be hover with your mouse. So typically some websites like to, when you hover with your mouse, it flips the image. So you see the front of the product and then the back of the product. The same should happen when using your keyboard. What's going to happen when you click in the color options? Do we change now the image that is on the screen, right? So if I'm seeing pink, when I click in red, am I going to see the red product now on the screen? All of those interactions need to be documented. So I click in add to cart, and now I have a notification. On screen, I have a notification that was presented 2 years ago, I think. One of the biggest retailers, they have on screen, they have something called help us keep your account safe by clicking on the checkbox below, press and hold. Please try again. So there was a model that appeared in a big retailer when they were trying to avoid people from scalpers specifically from buying Xboxes or PS5 consoles. So they decided to have this button that just says press and hold. You were supposed to, after you add to the cart, go here and press and hold it for 10 seconds. So it's a road blocker for users to try to add to the cart, where some people might not even have the option to press and hold. And it wasn't even indicative to me whether it was like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Do I keep pressing the entire time, or do I just press and release? It was super confusing. It was the first time the experience happened. And it was also the inventory were time boxed. So after you do this, you click, press and hold, you find a way to do it. And then, sorry, the inventory is out. So the intention was to add to the cart. We're asking now for a second step, and we're blocking them from actually being able to add to the cart. Other websites, hardware stores. When you click in add to the cart, okay, great, but you need to choose your store. Retailers, sorry, not retailers, yeah, food e-commerce websites will add this. You need to choose the store where you're going to purchase before you are unable or are able to add to the cart. So the typical experience is try to set the store beforehand and do not leave it to the moment when they click in add to cart. Because again, the experience is I want to add to my cart, and now you're showing me a blocker, which is like choose your store where you want to have these items delivered. So let's try to avoid that by shifting to the beginning of the experience. Other ones that appear, you're browsing, you're navigating on screen. I have a model that is a discount. So you're navigating, you're browsing, and boom, a pop-up shows in your screen. Enter your email to win 10% discount. Again, if it is not developed properly, then you're trying to navigate. There are two issues that could happen here. You can interact with this element that appear on the screen, or maybe you cannot because the focus is behind it. So then you're lost, right? Like if your keyword, your focus is set behind this model, you won't be able to operate it. Or maybe they're forcing you to put your email before you can continue. It's a great experience. It's a great discount. I love discounts. Use data to see whether they use or not, and try to come up with good experiences for this. Sorry, I'm rushing through a little bit because we have some slides to go through and we're almost done, but I'm rushing a little bit. You add to the cart, and then you have the mini cart, which is typically the modal that appears either top to bottom or left to right to show you what you have added to the cart. So it's super important for this specific step is you should, the guidance is when you have any flyout, the chief focus must move to the elements that are in that area, in that flyout. Escape should return you to the whatever launched this element. So what this means is when you're clicking add to cart, you show the mini cart. When you close that mini cart, the focus should go back to where you were before. So that needs to be annotated, that needs to be developed properly. Design with intent is the takeaway for this section, right? Like make sure that we're designing for the intent of the elements, that we know what users are going to be doing, like, and they understand what the actions are going to be happening on screen. And lastly, I'm going to go quickly through this. I think we only have 2 minutes, but I will do it. We'll do it. Checkout. So I search, took me a while. I added to the cart, took me a while. Let's go to checkout, please. I just want my thing to come home. As soon as you click in checkout, first decision that some websites ask you to do, if you have forgotten to sign in that website, is do you want to continue as a guest or do you want to sign in? Some websites decide to remove the autocomplete from these forms, which actually makes it really hard for certain users to type in all of the information because you don't know your password, because you don't know the email, or it's lengthy or whatnot. So do not remove autocomplete from forms. Like let the users make their own choices, whether they want to autofill it or not autofill it. Make sure that when you do autocomplete forms that they're labeled properly. So when I type in my email, it autofills this. It needs to be flagged properly so that all of my information goes to the fields that is expected it to. Email goes to email, name goes to name, etc. One of the experiences that I had was when signing in, after going through all of this, remember, I want to add to my cart, I want to check out, and now they're asking me, are you human? And the caption, the Google caption with the images appears on the screen. And this is on continue as a guest. Continue as a guest, trigger the are you human captcha. So they're not fully accessible. Some of them are better than others, but like, do you really need to know that I'm human after you make me go through all of these steps to just add to my cart to check out? So let's pretend we are humans. And then you have to fill out the form that is just simply information that we just have to give. Name, last name, email addresses. The 4 that I have on the screen is the typical email, first name, last name, company. What I want you to learn from this is there's a requirement to let them know, users know which fields are required. The way it's implemented here is the opposite, which is good, where instead of having an asterisk that says required for all of the fields, we have labeled optional for those fields that are not required. But consider, do you actually need that field? If it is optional, can we remove it so that ask less questions to the users? Like, do we really, really need it? Or is it like important? Or is it like, you know what, just don't ask that information. No one is filling that information ever. So like, just strip it out. I fill out the form. I'm not going to go through all of this, but there are 2 things that I've found in e-commerce websites that are kind of like blockers. When we input names and last names or information like that, some of us have bigger names, 20 letters, some of us have spaces on them. So the rules to having fields like this needs to be thought properly so that we don't stop users from actually entering data in our websites. The other one that I have on the screen is the zip code. In Canada, we have a specific format for a zip code. In the form, there is no guidance for someone that is not Canadian to know what that zip code format is. The same for the telephone number. Are you expecting just numbers, or are you expecting parentheses and hyphens and spaces and things like that? So try to put hints on the screen to let users know that that's the way you're expecting data. And lastly, I promise this is the last one. The checkout. You go out, now I need to put in my credit card number. The hardest part here is the month and the year selection. So expiry month is only 12 values. So there are two options to do this. Is either an input box where user can freely type in the number, or you do like a drop-down selection when they have to select between the 1 to 12. So in a mobile device, you will have, in an iPhone, you have the scrollable element. In Android, I think it's a radio button. The year, though, the year selection can be difficult because then we have, instead of like 10 options, we might have 20, 50, 30. So consider whether you want to use dropdowns or open fields for those areas. And I swear I'm done. I'm really sorry for taking so much time, Liz. I'm done. So the takeaway here is use accessible form patterns. Try to make the experiences simple and design with intent. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hector, for so many great tips. We also have a lot of great questions and about 8 minutes or so to get through them. So why don't I just dive right in? If you haven't added questions that you have, please go ahead and add those to the Q&A. There's also an option for you to upvote questions. I'll probably start by prioritizing those. All right, Hector. So let's start with this one here. This is about the certain amount of letters being typed in that autocomplete search field. Okay, so ideally, how many letters typed in the autocomplete search field should we let the user know X amount of items are being displayed?
Yeah, I can read it as a two-level question.
Mm-hmm.
My best tip for that, use data. So see what the users are doing. So I understood the following question. How many letters should they type before you announce the autocomplete? Some websites use 1 letter, others use 2, others use 3. But again, we have to consider what's happening immediately after you type those letters. So are you gonna interrupt the announcement if you're using a screen reader? The first letter that I do, or the second letter, or the third letter? Are you catalog using small words, right? Like you have catalogs that are longer words or like really tiny. So then you need to consider all of that when you're designing for this experience. Data, data, data. Use the data, like see how analytics are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hector. All right, let's dive into the next one here. Okay, this one's about skip links. How about skip links? How about skip links to the most useful areas? How many skip links are too much?
Agreed. When we thought, that's an awesome question. I presented only the skip filters because it was a way to like avoid the filter section only on the filter sidebar. There are some websites that have skip navigation, skip to main products, skip to filters, skip to footer, skip to this, skip to that. Those links are typically only for screen reader users. Again, there are multiple ways a screen reader user can navigate to areas directly using landmarks, for instance. They know how to navigate a website represented by like, go to the sidebar, go to the footer, go to the banner, or tell me all of the headings that are in your website. Tell me all of the H1, H2, H3. So we need to give options. Too many is too many, right? Like it's just too confusing. So I wouldn't know how many to do, but like don't do 0, don't do hundreds, because then you're impeding from the users from accessing the website.
Right.
But some of them, talk to people with disabilities and see what they like and what they prefer in your website, and listen, like be open, like maybe use social media to ask that question to your audience.
Great. Thanks, Hector. All right, let's jump into the next one. You said that you need to explain to the user how to navigate the various features. What's the best way to convey these instructions?
Thank you for that. I might have said you have to, you might not have to. There are design patterns that is expected when you do a certain element on the website. So some of them, a button, we know how it works, but you know that I wouldn't say you might know that a button is triggered by the space and the enter in your keyboard. and your mouse right button. You might not know that. You might know that the links are triggered by only the enter, not the space. So there are certain elements that are pattern that are already described. So we need to explain to the users how was developed in our website. But there are some that are more complex. Tab navigation or like custom components that we introduce in the website typically require certain instructions. One that we hate in the web world is the carousels, for instance, but we all kind of know how to use a carousel, even though not all of them are accessible. There's a left arrow, a right arrow. You kind of get an idea that you can use your arrow keys to navigate through them. So it depends on the element. If they're simple interactions, don't worry too much about adding description. If you find that users are not clicking in those areas or are not using those areas, it might be a problem because we have not implemented the proper design pattern, or we have not included proper instructions for them to use or operate.
Great. Thanks, Hector. All right. I think we have time for probably 2 more questions. Okay, here's a good one from Marion. What is your approach to provide meaningful, concise, and consistent alt text for the different views of the product? And they said, for example, there's an e-commerce site out there that uses the same for all picks, which...
Yeah. Lovely question. So the first failure in WCAG that we always talk about is the alternate text and images. But when we have a website that have multiple views for it, it can become cumbersome if we use the same information for all of the visual representation. So what I'm saying is, let's pretend I have a product card, and then I have the front view and the rear view, and I have it in red, and I have it in blue, and I have it in pink. And I also need to add on top of that the product name. So I will say Hector's short red front view. Hector's short, I forgot what I said. Hector's short black back view. Kind of like keep it short, keep it consistent. Don't give too much guidance. Because again, remember, it's a word that is being announced, so it's time that we're consuming. The more lengthier we are, we might not be as helpful as we wish we could.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And I'm going to grab one more question here. Okay. Do you have any recommendations of resources for accessible e-commerce from a development perspective?
I love that question. Yeah. So I focus on e-commerce accessibility, even though it shouldn't be different, right? Like a website is a website. It should be accessible regardless of whether it's an e-commerce, a blog, a newsletter. Right. Like we should all try to make it accessible. E-commerce has nuances. Do we have links that I know of? No, and I've been searching. So I created my own website, and this is a shameful spin out there, but I'm one of my goals, personal goals for the year was to start writing more technical annotations and technical documentations for e-commerce for accessibility. So it's called A11.tips, TIPS. I only have 2 articles, sorry, but I'm working on that. But yeah, sadly, I have not been able to find like a site that has all of them gathered together. I know Medium, there's a lot of writers that might have good articles in accessibility, but they're sparse. So we need to gather them. And my goal is to gather them and have it in a centralized place.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hector. And with that, I think we are at time. I want to thank you again, Hector, for such a great session. Thank you, everyone, for attending and for all of the great questions. And we hope you enjoy the rest of AxCon and have a good day. Thanks, everyone. Bye.